What's up, Best Self Squad? Welcome to this week's Trev Talk. So, this is something you've probably heard me talk about this concept on the podcast. I've mentioned this concept in recent Trev Talks. If you haven't listened to any of those, I'm going to tell you what that concept is right now. It's the concept that I call the big questions. So, the big questions, or what I define it as, is at the end of your life, assuming you have the cognitive ability to do this, you're going to be asking yourself certain questions to determine whether or not you are fulfilled, satisfied, at peace with how you lived your life and what you filled your time with. So here's my process for figuring out what my big questions are and then reverse engineering it to form daily, weekly, monthly habits that allow me to make sure that I am answering yes to my big questions. So typically the big questions are yes or no answers, like, was I a good parent, or was I a good friend, or did I leave a positive impact? All of that stuff. But the process of finding this out, at least for me, what I've found works is doing a visualization. And this tends to be a little daunting. So if it gets overwhelming, you feel free to pull yourself out and just turn it into a thought practice. But the visualization that I use, even though I have found myself in situations where I did think I was about to die, so I've had the firsthand approach at this, but the visualization is you on your deathbed a long, long, long time from now. It's your final moments and really allowing yourself to feel the emotion of this being the end of your time on this planet, in your body, as who you are, and just really thinking about, like, what is it that you use to gauge the level of satisfaction you have with your life. It'll typically be between like 3 and 8 questions. If you have more than that, try to narrow it down to the top 8, at most, probably the top 5. So for me, I've got 5, at least right now. They may change, but these are the 5 that popped up when I was, sliding towards the edge of a cliff. They're the top 5 that have kind of driven me to do what I do. The first one, did I show the people that I love them, not just through words, but through actions? So that's the first question of mine. The second one, did I do cool shit? So did I take bold action? Did I live adventurously? Number 3, did I make as positive of an impact as I could with the skill sets that I have and the resources that are available to me, things like that. Did I listen to my gut? So my intuition. Did I live a life of alignment? And there's 1 or 2 other ones. Honestly, I just can't think of them right now. You'd think I'd be able to, but I can't. So we're just going to keep rolling. Whatever your big questions are, write them down, think about them, allow yourself to feel the emotional charge around those questions. And then this is where we start the reverse engineering process. So you have the questions. The next step is, by the time you're at the end of your life, what will allow you to answer yes to those questions? So when it comes to like the bold action one, starting the business was one, starting the podcast was one, doing these road trips was one. A lot of these crazy adventurous things and bold pursuits that I take on are because of the fact that I want to be able to answer yes to the question of, did I do cool shit? So you have the questions, you find what will be in a yes at the end, and then that's your 30,000 foot view. So that's the completed that's the completed puzzle. Well, now we're going to start breaking it down. So we go from the 30,000 foot view down to like a little more zoomed in. We'll say the 3,000 foot view. So in the next year, what is it that will allow you to answer yes to your questions? So again, just sticking along the lines of the bold action one. For me, I'm recording this on August 5th. So on August 5th, 2023, what will allow me to be able to say, yes, I did cool stuff. I feel satisfied with the amount of bold action and adventure I pursued and checked off my list. So in the next year, that requires, I've got a couple race ideas. I've got some big charity events that I'm planning on putting on. That's events that we have booked through BSW. That's different launches that I have planned for Best Self. That's things that I want to do with my friends, traveling that I want to do. All of those I already have kind of locked and loaded, ready to go for the next year, because I know that in the pursuit of doing as many of those things as I can, at the end of the year, I'll be able to look back and say, I'm satisfied with that, with answering yes to that big question, that thing that will not be having me, experience existential regret at the end of my life. So that's the 3,000-foot view. So you've got the questions, you've got the at the end of your life, the 30,000-foot view, what will be the yes? You've got in the next year, what will allow you to say yes? Now we're going to zoom in even more to the 300-foot view. So in a month from now, so September 5th, by September 5th, what are some things that I could do? Bold action, adventurous, cool, crazy, fun stuff that will allow me to answer yes. So for me, that's making sure that I'm going out and actually doing fun things. There's nothing necessarily like crazy big on the books, but like I've got a couple weddings that I'm going to, making sure that I'm really there, really having fun, really enjoying the experience, making sure that I've got OCR Worlds coming up, making sure that I'm training, doing everything I can so that adventurous item is fulfilling and satisfying. And then, other things that kind of fall to the wayside as I'm talking. But you start to get the concept, so at least what I do, again, 30,000-foot view, end of life, 3,000-foot view, end of 1 year from now, 300-foot view, a month from now. And then the 30-foot view, this is very detailed, very, very planned out and ready to go, is today and this week, what can I do to make sure that I'm answering yes to this question? So me even filming this is me answering yes to this question, being bold enough to putting my life on display for everybody and talking about these concepts that I am so passionate about. That to me is bold action, getting in front of the camera and doing this. Making sure that the workouts that I do are fun and exciting and light me up. And the type of workouts that light me up, I promise, are not the workouts that light a lot of people up. I love cardio. I love grinding in the gym. I love that warrior mentality that comes with it. I know a lot of people are bigger on, they like to have fun. They like to keep it lighthearted. They like to gamify it. And that's all completely up to you. But again, it's every day, every week, every month, every year. What are you doing consistently, habitually, to answer yes to all of your big questions? Because I promise you, those are the things that you're going to think about at the end of your life. It won't necessarily be like, there's this concept called sweating the small, or don't sweat the small stuff. I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it's a book or what, but don't sweat the small stuff is so true when it comes to identifying and reverse engineering your big questions. It gives you that lighthouse to steer you into what you really will want to focus on throughout the course of your life. So the big questions, fantastic concept that has completely revolutionized my life. If it applies to you, awesome, do it. If it doesn't, heck, tune in next week and see if that applies to you. But thank you, everybody, for continuing to tune in, to listen, to implement. I've been hearing stories about each week, the things that I talk about, how it affects the people who do tune in and listen. I give you such props for, especially if you've made it here, devoting time and energy to bettering yourself and moving into that best version of yourself, whatever that means to you. So thank you, everybody. Stay tuned for more videos coming down the pipeline and answer those big questions. Peace.